I'd like to welcome to the stage Caleb Keller. He's going to be talking about the merits of nerdery. Caleb is our resident philosopher, and with tonight's presentation, he holds the title for the most presentations at the Des Moines Talk Show night with 3. He recently just welcomed him and his wife, welcomed a new son to their family, and we're really excited to have him here tonight. So let's give him a big round of applause.
So I am a geek. You would think that in the era of geek chic, this would be an easy thing to admit in public, right? Because nerds are cool now. And yet I find that that's a really uncomfortable thing to say in public. It's awkward. Because let's face it, geek chic, this is kind of a contradiction in terms. I mean, that's not the word. I'm a geek, not geeks. You can't just put on a pair of hard-rimmed glasses and become a geek. Here's what makes you a geek. Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Carrie Kelly, Tim Drake, Stephanie Brown, and Damian Wayne. That's all 6 people who've been Robin, as in Batman Robin. That's what makes you geek. Don't even ask me how many different versions of the Star Wars role-playing game I've played. And not like Worlds of Warcraft online. No. Full-out Dungeons and Dragons, dice rolling, role-playing games. I'm a huge geek. But I found in the course of my nerdy life that there are some really great things about being a geek, and I want to talk about some of those tonight. So, in the first place, what's great about being a geek is that you have a high-level capacity for the suspension of disbelief. When normal folks watch TV, they have to say, okay, so the nerd's getting the girl, not the cool guy. Now I'm going to go. When the nerd watches TV, he says, okay, so the humans built a race of robot slaves that rebelled and they fought a war with the humans. And the humans won, and the robot slaves went away for 40 years. But after that, they came back. And this time, some of them looked like people, but they were still robots. And the human robot slaves wanted to have babies, but they couldn't. And the missing ingredient was love. But I'm going to go with it. That requires a high-level capacity for the suspension of disbelief. Now, what is that? The suspension of disbelief. I think it's the ability to think about the possibility of the world being different than it actually is in real life. And I don't know about you guys, but I think that the world as it actually is in real life kind of sucks in some pretty significant ways. Ways that I would like to see changed somehow. Now, if that's going to change, if the world as it really is going to change, it requires people to imagine that that's even possible. So if you want to say to someone, design a technology that will convert sunlight into electrical power, right? It even sounds like science fiction. A nerd is going to say, that sounds amazing, let's give it a shot. If you want to say, let's put a human being up on top of a huge rocket and shoot the rocket to the moon, and then we're going to detach the people and land them on the moon, and then put them on another rocket and shoot that back into space, and then we're going to send them back to Earth and land them back on Earth. A nerd is going to go, oh, let's give it a shot. Which is really cool, because a nerd has this ability to kind of ignore the world as it really is and imagine it being different. Imagine something different being possible, which is why I think some of the great innovators over the last 30 years or so, and before that obviously, have been really nerdy people, right? That's Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, evil nerds, I guess, but that's beside the point. But they're innovators because they imagine things being different, and then they have this ability to make it be different. And that ability, I think, is really important, because if we're going to move on from where we are now, first we have to imagine that that's even a possible thing to do. And this is something that geeks are really good at, imagining possibilities. The second thing that I wanted to talk about what's being good kind of begins in high school. And that's a really uncomfortable time for a young nerd, right? Because you hear these mean words like freak and loser and weirdo. And what's happening there? Your high school peers, your middle school peers are saying, why are you so different? Stop being so different all the time. And so they apply these horrible terms to you. And it's because you're in this high school environment, this conformity factory, where everybody needs to be pressed into this mold and turned into the same people. So you have to figure out what to do with the fact that you're really different from everybody. So what's the young nerdling to do about this fact that he's really different from everybody? I think there's 3 options. Option 1, you can become a closeted nerd. Right? I like football now, when reality is you'd really rather be reading Batman comic books and watching Doctor Who. But that's a horrible option, because then you have to be ashamed of what you really like and hide it from everybody, and that's right. That's not option 3. So option 2, you can become the angry nerd. The angry nerd says, screw you guys and your social disapprobation. I'm going to like what I like, and to hell with what you think. And if I want to wear my Star Trek uniform to jury duty, which happened, I'm going to. No, but nobody likes those people. annoying and obnoxious. You know, no one wants to hear about your 60th level Druze cleric. You know, so that option I think is out too. But the third option I think is the well-adjusted nerd. This guy said, I wish I could try to be, says, okay, I get it. Stuff that I like, it's weird. Not a lot of people like it. And you don't get it. But that's okay. I don't get football. I really don't. I don't get what the attraction of football is. But if that's what blows your head back, more power to you. That's great. Because there's the extremist football guys, and there's the extremist nerds. And what really is the difference between them? There's more of the football people than there are of the Star Wars people. That's about the only difference. And so the nerd is able to say, I don't get it, but that's cool. Be that way. And hopefully you'll, let me be who I am. Now, what is that attitude? That's tolerance. Where we say, you're different from me, and that's okay. I'm different from you. Hopefully you'll be cool to me. And, tolerance is something that I'd like to see more of. I don't know if you've been following the news, but there's this whole presidential hoo-ha thing going on. And boy, tolerance seems to be in short supply. And it's not just in the realm of politics. I mean, when it comes to religion, lifestyle, all kinds of things, people don't like difference. And nerds are kind of able to get out of their own headspace and imagine what it's like to be that guy. And if I was that guy, I'd really want me to be cool to him. So I'm going to pull myself out of my own headspace and imagine what it would be like to be him. I'd want me to be cool. So I should be cool to that guy. And hopefully he'll extend the same courtesy to me. Because that's what we should be doing, right? And nerds have a leg up in this area because there's this imaginative capacity to ignore the world as it actually is and to imagine being something different. And so that's, to me, what's really great about being a nerd is that we were able to do this in a way that one would hope would make us better people. And so that's what I think is great about being a nerd.